You followed the script perfectly. You got the degree, you took on the loans, you landed the good job with the benefits, and you maybe even bought the house. You checked every single box, so why does it feel like you are losing? You look at your banking app at the end of the month, and the number is hovering near zero. You are working harder, longer, and faster than you did 5 years ago, yet you feel significantly poorer. Your grocery bill has doubled, but your paycheck hasn't. It's not in your head. And more importantly, it is not your fault. You are currently stuck in a mechanism that economists call the middle class trap. My name is Dustin, and welcome to Money Easy Street. I work in the finance industry helping clients manage their wealth, and the one thing I've learned is that escaping this trap isn't about complex math. It's about the psychology behind your choices. My goal here is to take the confusion of Wall Street and translate it into a workable roadmap. So, if you feel like you're running on a financial treadmill that's moving faster than your paycheck, hit subscribe. Today, we're going to step off that treadmill and start building real wealth. Here is the uncomfortable truth. We are raised to believe that the middle class is the destination, the safety net. But in the modern economic reality, the middle class is not a safety net. It's a dependency loop. It's an economic bracket designed to keep you just rich enough to qualify for the debt, but just poor enough that you can never stop working to pay it off. The trap is invisible because everyone you know is in it with you. Your parents, your neighbors, your coworkers, they are all running on the same treadmill, chasing the same carrot, and wondering why they never move forward. They don't realize that the treadmill is sitting inside a cage. In this video, I'm going to hand you the key to that cage. We're going to break down the cold, hard math that the system is using against you. I'm going to show you why earning a high salary is mathematically the worst way to build wealth, why your assets are actually liabilities in disguise, and the specific escape plan you need to execute starting today. This isn't about skipping your morning latte. This is about saving your financial life. Let's get to work. To understand the trap, you have to understand the environment the trap is set in. There's a concept in evolutionary biology called the Red Queen effect. It comes from Alice in Wonderland. The Red Queen tells Alice, "Now here you see, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place." That is the modern economy. Let's look at the numbers. Over the last few years, the cost of the big three, housing, transportation, and food, has outpaced wage growth by double digits. The government will tell you inflation is under control. They'll show you a low CPI number. But here's what most people don't realize. The CPI is a flawed metric. It creates a money illusion. You see a higher number on your paycheck than your father did 30 years ago. You think, I'm making $80,000, that's a huge amount of money. But $80,000 today has the purchasing power that $45,000 had just 2 decades ago. The system keeps you sedated with higher nominal numbers while silently stripping away the value of those digits. This forces you into a position of absolute dependency, which brings us to the first bar of the cage, the inability to pause. Think about it. Can you stop working for 6 months? If you lost your job today, how long until you lose your house? For the average American, the answer is less than 90 days. Rich people can pause. They can take a sabbatical. They can reevaluate. The middle class cannot pause. This lack of margin destroys your ability to take risks. You can't start that business you've been dreaming of. You can't switch careers. You can't negotiate for a better salary because you're terrified of losing the steady drip of the paycheck. You're paralyzed by your own expenses. Now you might be asking, if being trapped is so stressful, why do we keep taking on debt? The answer is that the system has gamified your financial destruction through something called the credit score. In this system, we worship the FICO score. We wear it like a badge of honor. You hear people say, I have an 800 credit score, as if that means they're winning. But let's look at what a credit score actually measures. It doesn't measure your wealth. It doesn't measure your assets. You can have $0 in the bank and have a perfect credit score. You can be a millionaire who pays cash for everything and have a ghost score. A credit score is literally an I love debt score. It measures how profitable you are to the banks. A high score means you're a good little consumer who borrows money and pays it back with interest, on time, forever. The trap is that society uses this score as a gatekeeper. You need it to get the apartment, to get the car, sometimes even to get the job. So you're forced to play a game where the only way to win is to stay in debt. You take out the credit card to build the score, to get the loan, to buy the house, to get the bigger loan. It's a self-reinforcing cycle designed to keep you paying interest to Wall Street until the day you die. And that brings us to the second mechanism of the trap. We're taught from a young age to acquire assets, but the definition of an asset has been twisted by marketing departments to keep you poor. Let's use the definition from Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it is the only one that matters. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. The middle-class trap is built on convincing you to buy liabilities that you think are assets. Let's talk about the biggest offender, the car. In today's market, it is normal to see middle-class families with two car payments totaling $1,500 a month. They justify this by saying, "I need a reliable car for work," or "it has high safety ratings." Let's do the math on that reliability. If you took that $750 monthly car payment and invested it into the S&P 500 from age 25 to age 65, assuming average historical returns, do you know how much money you would have? $4.4 million. But instead of having $4.4 million in your retirement account, you have a 10-year-old truck worth $5,000. You're literally driving your financial freedom down the highway, where it loses value every single mile. The car is not an asset, it is a wealth incinerator. And then there's the house. Now, don't get me wrong, owning a home can be a great financial move, but for the middle class, the home is often the anchor that drowns them. Why? Because you buy the maximum amount of house the bank will lend you. The bank doesn't tell you that you qualify for $700,000 because they want you to be comfortable. They tell you that because they want you to be a slave to the interest payments for 30 years. When you buy too much house, you become house poor. Your property taxes go up, maintenance goes up, utilities go up. Suddenly, 50% of your take-home pay is gone just to keep a roof over your head. You have built a golden cage. It looks nice from the outside. You have the granite countertops and the manicured lawn. But inside, you're trapped. You can't leave your job because the house eats first, the car eats second, you eat last. Now you might be thinking, "Dustin, the solution is just to earn more money, right? I'll grind harder." Here is the dirty secret of the tax code that nobody teaches you in school. It's designed to penalize high-income earners who rely on a salary. If you make $50 million from investments, you pay a lower capital gains tax rate. But you, the person making $80,000 to $300,000 a year from a W-2 job, you're the cash cow for the government. You pay the highest percentage of your income in taxes. This is the salary ceiling. You're trading your time for money, but the exchange rate gets worse the harder you work. The wealthy do not trade time for money. They trade money for money. As long as your primary income source is directly tied to the hours you work, you are vulnerable. If you get sick or fired or replaced by AI, the income stops. The bills do not. And this leads us to the most dangerous lie of all, the traditional retirement model. The system tells you just contribute 3% to your 401k, get the company match, and wait 40 years. This advice worked decades ago when interest rates were high and life expectancy was lower. Today, this advice is financial suicide. Here's the math they don't show you. It's called the real rate of return. If the stock market returns 8% this year, you feel great. But if real inflation, the actual cost of your life, is rising at 5 or 6%, your real return is only 2%. At a 2% real growth rate, it takes 36 years for your purchasing power to double. That is too slow. You're running a race with a parachute strapped to your back. Furthermore, the wait until 65 model assumes that your expenses will go down in retirement. Look around. Healthcare costs are exploding. Taxes are likely to go up to fund the deficit. The cost of living is not dropping. If you are relying solely on a 401k and Social Security, You're betting your entire future on the hope that the government manages the currency well and that the stock market never crashes right before you retire. That is not a plan. That's a gamble. And it's a gamble where the house usually wins. You cannot save your way out of the middle class trap using the system's tools. You have to aggressively manufacture your own growth. Why do we do this? Why do we sign up for the loans and the stress? We do it because we're social animals. We're programmed to signal status. But this triggers a phenomenon called the Diderot effect. It states that obtaining a new possession creates a spiral of consumption. You buy the new house. Suddenly, your old furniture looks cheap, so you buy new furniture. Now your car looks old in the new driveway, so you lease the BMW. Now your clothes look shabby next to the BMW. You look around at your friends. They all have the new iPhone. They go to Europe every summer. You assume they know something you don't. Here is the truth. Most of them are drowning. They're financing a lifestyle they cannot afford to impress people they don't even like. They're one missed paycheck away from total collapse. When you try to keep up with the Joneses, you are competing with people who are heading toward a financial cliff. Don't follow them over the edge. Enough about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. How do you break out of a cage designed to hold you? Here's your 3-step plan to escape. Step 1. The radical audit. Tonight, print out your last 3 months of bank statements. Take a red highlighter. Highlight every single subscription, dining out expense, and convenience purchase. You will be shocked. You need to plug the holes. You cannot fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. Step 2. Buy your freedom first. Parkinson's law states that spending expands to fill the income available. You need to flip the equation. Set up an automatic transfer the day your paycheck hits. Before you pay the rent, before you buy groceries, money moves into a separate investment account. It needs to hurt a little. You have to steal that money from your lifestyle before you have a chance to spend it. Step 3. The asset pivot. You need to stop climbing the corporate ladder and start building your own ladder. But, and this is crucial, not all side hustles are created equal. Most people try to escape the trap by driving for Uber or delivering food. That is not an escape. That is just a second low-paying job. You're still trading time for money, just at a worse rate. You need asymmetric inputs. This means you do the work once and it pays you repeatedly. If you write a book, you write it once, but it sells forever. If you create a digital course, you record it once, but it sells forever. If you buy a dividend stock, you earn that cash flow every quarter without lifting a finger. You need to audit your energy. Are you building a bucket carrier or are you building a pipeline? Even if you only have $100 to start, put it into something that grows without you. That $100 in a dividend ETF is infinitely more valuable than $100 from overtime because the dividend money is freedom money. It arrived while you were sleeping. Your goal is to get that freedom money to cover your cell phone bill, then your car insurance, then your rent. Once your passive income covers your survival expenses, the trap opens. You are free. The middle-class trap is powerful, but it is fragile. It relies on your ignorance. It relies on your compliance. Once you see the bars, you can't unsee them. And once you realize that the shiny car and the big house are just weights keeping you on the treadmill, they lose their appeal. You have a choice today. You can keep running, hoping the treadmill slows down, but it won't. Or you can step off, live below your means, invest the difference, and buy your life back. If you're ready to break the trap, do one thing right now. Hit that subscribe button and welcome to Money Easy Street. This channel is your manual for escape. Welcome to the resistance. I'll see you in the next video.